Bruce Lee, Jet Li, and Jackie Chan. I love them all. They're often credited for bringing Kung Fu to the West, and that's probably true in some ways. I grew up watching literally every single Jackie Chan movie on the planet on repeat. Perfect. Or Jet Li in Kiss of the Dragon. Epic. But most of their movies are actually more niche than you think and are mostly celebrated in the martial arts community for the intricate and well choreographed fight scenes. It's actually rare for a good Kung Fu movie to breach into the mainstream in the West and China alike. Kung Fu Panda did exactly that. Everybody knows Kung Fu Panda. It brought a fascination with China and Kung Fu to Western audiences on a massive scale, and it did such an amazing job doing so.
I love Kung Fu!
It was released in 2008, the same time of the Beijing Olympics, and in my eyes and my experience, that was the height of China opening up to the West. It's a movie filled to the brink with details and funny Easter eggs, so I thought this would be a very fitting movie for me to cover. Let's talk about its portrayal of Chinese culture and definitely Kung Fu. Let's go.
Monkey, mantis, crane, viper, tigress.
I love how early on Kung Fu Panda establishes that it wants to be taken seriously by the Chinese martial arts community. When I saw this, it immediately caught my attention. It's not referencing obscure forms like Ditang Mei Hua Qian or Pao Qian or Da Hong Qian, whatever, but animal forms. Animals are cute and fit the movie, plus they're among the most advanced forms that there are. Usually the very last things you learn. When I went to China, I also thought, now when do I get to learn tiger claw? My master said, no problem, 10 years. I did start learning praying mantis, eagle, and leopard, but that was towards the end of my stay. Also, crane. This is something that I see very often in Kung Fu movies or references. It certainly exists in some styles, but it is not practiced at Shaolin. The animals most commonly trained in the Shaolin temple are tiger, leopard, that's Tai Long, the villain of Kung Fu Panda by the way, snake, mantis, monkey, scorpion, duck, and dog form. Although they call it Dilongquan because dog has a negative connotation in Chinese. I saw on Kung Fu Panda's trivia page that pose fighting style is bear style Kung Fu, and I also have to say that I've never seen or heard of such a thing. Obviously, anyone can invent a new animal style. It's not found in nature, it's invented. Nobody owns Kung Fu, and the amount of rare styles out there in China is endless. But I very much doubt it. I've also seen sources claim that he's doing some type of Taiji Chuan, and I could only find one master that practices that style, and I don't see any similarities to what Po does. Po mostly fights with his stomach, uses his environment, and does goofy things, similar to Jackie Chan. That's not a Kung Fu style, that's just comedy. Nothing wrong with that, but let's not read too much into it.
Coming!
Now this is funny. Po's throwing shuriken ninja stars, and some people got angry because that's Japanese, not Chinese. But here's the kicker: at the entrance of the Shaolin temple in China, they sell shuriken with all sorts of Chinese characters engraved. Shaolin is just a very big kraken that sucks up all martial arts related things and sells them as their own. Thought that would be a funny detail. If it's funny, comment funny.
The Sacred Hall of Warriors. No way!
One of the ways in which Western media conveys that something is Chinese is by showering the audience with dragons. Everywhere, dragons, dragons, dragons. The channel Accented Cinema made a great video about this.
This is why you don't see dragons carved into every pillar. Dragons have to be special.
Dragons are cool, and dragons are a very important symbol in China, but because they're so important and meaningful, they're actually used sparingly. There might be some ornaments here and there, but it's not like this. And if you do see it, it might actually be something newly added, since Western portrayal of Chinese culture now retroactively impacts actual Chinese culture. Not a lot, but it can happen in very touristy areas. Kinda interesting.
Listen, Oogway said that I was the whooshy finger hold. Not the whooshy finger hold.
I love this so much. The whooshy finger hold. A single move of my finger and it's over. Guys, the whooshy finger hold is a secret hidden ancient technique of Shaolin that nobody's allowed to mention actually, ever. No. Of course not. This is the best though. Kung Fu Panda has a deep appreciation for all things Chinese. Bamboo, porcelain, palaces, buns, archways, acupuncture, noodles, and especially Kung Fu. Yet it doesn't shy away from poking a little bit of fun. There is no whooshy finger hold, there is no such technique, but it's also not a joke that is entirely absurd. The idea of a secret, super powerful technique that only very few masters in the mountains know is still rampant today, and for the most part, it's just not true. Sometimes you see videos of people going to China and being like, I am in the pursuit of real hidden Kung Fu, then they find some master doesn't teach anymore in the middle of nowhere and they think that's more authentic. There's some styles and forms that did and do get lost when the last remaining practitioners die, but there's no such thing as a super ability, despite a lot of very esoteric people believing it. Chinese martial arts aren't magic okay? They're awesome, they're the best, but just chill. This is not what accommodation will look like in any Kung Fu school in China. Ever. Anywhere. Actual dorm rooms have like 12 to 16 people in a room with bunk bed, dirty stone floors, sometimes not even a window, and the rooms in the Shaolin Temple weren't much better. There's a massive difference between the Wuseng Tuan, which is the part of the temple where the warrior monks live. That part is dirty, dark, and packed, and where the actual monks live. Those parts are significantly nicer, but still not like this. It's crammed full of stuff everywhere.
You're stuck.
Stuck? Nah, what? Stuck?
Kung Fu Panda is a very inspirational movie, no doubt, but don't expect to get into box splits in a day. Don't. Unless you're under the age of like 8, you'll hurt yourself. There's no such thing as being stuck in box splits without pain. Ho is in full splits, yeah, and he's getting up with no pain. He's got the splits. This will not happen to you. Getting a proper box split is months of hard work. Nothing fun about it. I wish there was. And at his weight, he shouldn't really be doing splits at all like this. It's going to ruin your knees. If you're overweight and you want to do splits healthily, you need a partner, lie on your back, and have them push your leg down. Whatever. Don't do it like this. Pressure points. I've always wondered whether or not I get to address this one day. Before going to China, I also thought that some masters have this crazy pressure point knowledge. Pressure point Kung Fu. If they just press certain parts of your body, you'll be paralyzed. You collapse. Plot twist, it's not a thing. Listen, there are parts of your body that are more sensitive than others. Pressing very hard on those or hitting them can be painful and cause damage. Areas where a lot of nerves run through, like your neck, I'm not disputing that. But first of all, that's not the type of pressure point marketing that we see very often. And would you be able to do that in a fight? Almost certainly not. Every single video I've seen on pressure point Kung Fu is absolute garbage, Meg Dojo type stuff. Very questionable, nobody at Shaolin does it. Sometimes they also just show wrist locks or pressing someone's funny bone. Of course that's gonna hurt or be uncomfortable. I guess I would accept the whole pressure point idea if you redefine it as your jaw, your eyes, your throat, your groin, your solar plexus. But don't forget, I still think it's a super fun idea, and for martial arts movies like Kung Fu Panda, a great addition. It's the best.
You must believe.
Master!
Turtles. In Chinese, Wu-Gui, like the master, carry a lot of meaning in China. Wisdom, long life, balance, it's almost endless. And Wu-Gui becoming one with nature is deeply rooted in Chinese philosophy. He doesn't die, he returns to nature and becomes one with all things. He's in many ways a representation of Taoist thought. He lets things run their course. He rarely intervenes, and if he does, it's non-violently. Taoism emphasizes harmony with the natural world, to accept and live in accordance with the flow of events, to not force your will onto the world. Just as when he chose Po to become the Dragon Warrior,
I just wanted to see who the Dragon Warrior was.
How interesting.
did he really choose him? No, he just accepted that that is what happened, and he trusts in the natural rhythm of the universe.
The panda will never fulfill his destiny, nor you yours, until you let go of the illusion of control.
Some people out there may have missed that the entire movie is the consequence of a self-fulfilling prophecy. Only by Shifu sending the duck to Tai Lung does it lose a feather that helps him escape. This is even nonchalantly commented on by Wu himself.
Fly to Talgum prison and tell them to double the guards, double the weapons, double everything. Tai Lung does not leave that prison.
Yes, Master Shifu!
One often meets his destiny on the road he takes to avoid it.
There's an expression in China called 预避之,反应之. By avoiding things, you will welcome them. Just so you know, I'm not trying to convince you of this philosophy. I'm not a Taoist myself. Just pointing out that this movie right here did its homework.
If he could read my mind, he'd have been like, what? Order up!
Just a small comment, these are the most plain looking noodles I've ever seen. Kind of ironic that they don't have a secret ingredient, because I think they may need one.
Every time you threw a brick at my head, or said I smelled, it hurt. But it could never hurt more than it did every day of my life just being me.
Now this is some real stuff right here. Kung Fu Panda does much more than just celebrate Kung Fu or Chinese culture. I'm often fascinated by how smoothly and elegantly a lot of animated movies can convey a positive and meaningful message, and this one is no exception. At its core, Kung Fu Panda is about self-acceptance and inner peace. Po becomes the Dragon Warrior by way of finding himself. The Dragon Scroll is empty. There's no secret ingredient in the soup, although again, looks like it could use one. Chinese character for Wu in Wushu, which means martial arts, consists of Zhi and Ge. It means no weapons, or to stop fighting. And throughout Kung Fu Panda, the Dragon Scroll is seen as a very powerful weapon. It's all Tai Lung seeks.
Give me the scroll.
Power through that weapon. Yet Po becomes a warrior by realizing that there is no weapon, only self-acceptance. It's all your own hard work.
There is no secret ingredient. it's just you.
This theme resonates deeply with Zen Buddhism that originates from the Shaolin Temple. Remember this from The Karate Kid?
What do you see?
Me? Well, my reflection.
Yes. Now, what do you see?
It's blurry.
Yes. The woman was like still water, quiet, calm. In here and in here.
We find it again in Kung Fu Panda.
Your mind is like this water, my friend. When it is agitated, it becomes difficult to see. But if you allow it to settle, the answer becomes clear.
It's a very common expression of Buddhist thought, not particularly complex, but can still be very meaningful in my eyes if delivered to the right person at the right time. 明心见性，折了成佛. Face your own nature, become enlightened. Po is a cook, he loves to eat. Only when Shifu finds out that that is his nature can he unleash his potential. A few months back I made a review on the Shaolin Temple movie. There we also had something similar, didn't we?
练武是参禅，做饭也是参禅，道理还不都是一样的？
We've come full circle now, haven't we? Now we've seen the values of Taoism and Zen portrayed in Kung Fu Panda, but there's one more traditional Chinese philosophy, Confucianism. And there's no shortage of it in the movie either. Although it includes very Hollywood-style heroism, any one person, no matter how ordinary, can overcome great odds through hard work, a very individualistic approach, it also integrates Chinese ideas of community. Po relies on his master. Po's master relies on his master. The village relies on its virtuous leaders to guide them through dangerous times. It's a very hierarchical society. Po looks up to and respects the five. He's in pursuit of knowledge. It's crazy to me how so many different ideas come together so seamlessly in Kung Fu Panda. It's a movie that anyone can enjoy without any interest in Kung Fu or Chinese culture, but when you do, you'll find cool little details in every corner. Maybe that is the secret to its success. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Maybe rewatch the movie again. Also be sure to check out my video on The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. It's just like this one. It's very educational. Alright guys, have a good one. Catch you later. Antonio out.